It's a pretty old accessory, Lemonade, so it wouldn't surprise me if it appeared in the renewal dungeons. Alright, let's take a look at Final Fantasy II. Oh my god. Ricard finally got a BSB. Tifa does have a BSB too. Well, will have one. We get 2 new abilities with this. Oh, nice. Crimson Cross. And Free Strike. Both of these are good abilities. Oh, no. It's getting to the point where I am now going to have to spend Mithril and open up my abilities. Well, nothing pertaining to that, Hugh. So Free Strike is just a clone of Quake Strike and Tornado Strike. It's just 2 times area effect, ice physical. Yeah. It's area of effect, sure. I use my Quake Strike and Tornado Strike. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't want to use Free Strike too. Crimson Cross is going to be useful for certain Darkness characters. Ones that come to mind would be Gafgarian, whose USB, which I don't expect many people to get, will be... it has a chase attached to it. Yeah, Quick Strike is AoE. There's a chase attached to it that heals him. So whenever you use a Darkness ability, Crimson Cross, that hurts you for 30%, and when it gets buffed, it'll only be 25%. You hurt yourself, and then use the chase, and it heals himself. So Crimson Cross has a gigantic multiplier as a reward for hurting yourself with the ability. So it actually turns Gafgarian and other Darkness characters like him into very powerful damage dealers. Another, which would be more likely that people will get, will be Garland. And on the Final Fantasy I event that we did a distant preview on recently, we found that Garland is actually quite good when he gets his USB, and he's still good with his CSB, which was just released. If you get either of those for him, he becomes a target for this because he has a trance mode, which when he gets low on health, he heals himself to full, as well as having the capacity to heal himself with other legend materia. So he's actually a really good user of this, and the gigantic multiplier. You guys gotta understand how big the multiplier is on Crimson Cross. It is just a heavy, heavy, heavy hitting ability. It's Garland's BSB2. That's a copy of Squall's BSB2. So I just want to show you. Crimson Cross currently has a 4.2 multiplier. That is gigantic. And it gets buffed to not only have a 4.4 multiplier, but it also reduces the cost of your maximum HP pool from 30% to 25%. It is 4 hits from the start, correct. No buff. It gets buffed in the future to make it more viable. So, it's definitely not something you want to use on a character where this damage dealt to yourself is bad. Someone that can't refill it, like Sephiroth, for instance. You were going to want to use Sephiroth's BSB2 and his Command 1 instead. Like I said, you want to use someone like Gafgarian and his USB, or Garland and his trance mode, and pair it up with that, so they can make up for the fact that it hurts them. So it's definitely for specific characters, unfortunately not for all Darkness characters. Whether you use this ability or not will be heavily determined by that. So I would say if you have no intention on pulling on any of this stuff is certainly probably not Gafgarian, but Garland is a different matter. Then you don't want this, and you may even just be able to shatter it. However, with the fact that lucky draws exist and we always get some really lucrative ones every time a festival comes around, you can never be sure, so I don't know. It's a toss-up whether or not you want to get rid of this or not, if you have no intention on pulling on those banners. But, I mean, just for perspective, Crimson Cross with a 4.4 multiplier and something like a Spellblade ability, Thundering Quad Strike, eventually, is a 3.2 multiplier. So, for the cost of 25% of your maximum HP, which may not be a bad thing, depending on the character, you get an extra 1.2 multiplier, which is actually very, very big. So those are the two new abilities. We get a new character here who has Combat 4, Spellblade 5, Knight 4, Black Magic 3, and White Magic 4. I mean, that's a pretty good array of abilities. Closest snow spell. That's a good question. Snow spell currently has a 4.2 multiplier, so it's higher than that, but it eventually gets buffed to 4.4. So it has the exact multiplier of Snow Spell Strike. Pre-buff and post-buff. That's how strong it is. It hits as hard as a 6-star ability. Alright, so Scott has a pretty nice ability pool, with kind of one of those pseudo-paladins like Gabranth with Knight 4 and White Magic 4. This means he can taunt, but he can't use the damaging Knight abilities. So not a total paladin, but the Spellblade 5 and the Combat 4 is nice. So right off the bat, he looks like a pretty decent character. 205 attack seems kind of low. So our true damaging characters up here are all like 212 and up. 205 is not bad. The 205 is it's pretty far down the list. And more in line with... this is a weird crew. Onion Knight, Edge, Locke, Shadow, Marsh, Seodor, Dorgan. So he's got the attack pool of the better supports in the game, like Ramza, Onion Knight. Whatever. It's not that big of a detriment. We'll see how hard he gets hit elsewhere. Record Spheres, Spellblade 6%, Spellblade 3%. Don't like that. Unless he ends up being a multi-Spellblader. So there's no way they could have dedicated these percentages to a single element. Then it makes sense. Kind of like Bart's. Bart's having Spellblade damage is a very good thing because he hits multiple elements. Legend Spheres, Leon. Darkness damage, plus 3%. This is bad. Because Leon does all dark damage. So we would prefer that his records, his Legend Dive reflected that and made him do plus dark damage. But darkness damage is different. It's only abilities and burst commands. Does not apply to his soul breaks. And the blind resist is kind of fine, but could be better. with FS diving Leon, that is a good question. Well, sometimes, older characters get buffed a bit and they become, worth using. Look at Garland, for instance. Garland came out of nowhere. But there's a reason why Garland came out of nowhere, and it had to do with stuff like this. And Leon does not have that going for him. Min Woo is just a typical healer. White healing plus 9% and double silence resist. Gordon is support damage plus 9% and minor paralyze and minor fire. Yeah, whatever. You're not gonna record dive or legend dive Gordon. Yeah, Leon was pretty good back in the day of Hand of the Emperor. And Emperor, speaking of which, has BLK damage plus 9%, which is good. And minor dual sleep resist, which is also good. It's an atypical resist. BLK damage means that basically every piece of damage the Emperor does will get boosted. I don't think Emperor does any damage other than BLK. He does have, like, summoning 4, right? But who uses 4-star summons these days on content that actually matters? Regardless, I don't think Emperor is any good, so... And this isn't going to make him good. We'll see. Legend Materia, Leon, Mimu, Gordon, Emperor. Leon, attack plus X%. This already means I don't like it. With attacks that deal dark damage up to X%. At least his LMR is good. 25% chance to dual cast darkness abilities. So, just dual reason to not touch Leon's legend dive, as if we needed enough of one. Min Woo, X% chance to remove poison, silence, blind, and confuse to the user after being afflicted with poison, silence, blind, or confuse. Sucks. 25% chance to grant physical blink 1 to the target after using a... Yeah, I don't care. I don't really care for those. I have Realms, where she has a 25% chance to grant magic blink 1 to the target. It has never appeared as being useful to me, so I don't care. Gordon, X chance to cause minor imperil fire to the target after using a support ability on an enemy. Ugh. I hate it when they cross support stuff like this with Elemental, because Elemental screams Magicite, and Magicite screams no support or no debuffing. Outside of Magicite, this is actually kind of awesome. So it's got that going for it. But I'd prefer that it was useful everywhere instead of just, excluding a portion of the game. And his LMR is just increase the duration of stat debuffs. Whatever. It's not... It is at the moment, eDaddy, but it won't always be. It does not proc within trust, no. And it's using a support ability on an enemy. Emperor, 45% chance to counter BLK attacks with an ability that causes Imperil Earth 10% for 15 seconds. What in the world? What am I even looking at right now? This could be really cool. But it's probably not. Again, Elemental. Golem does 0 BLK attacks. So it was completely ineffective. Oh wait, Earth. Never mind. Sorry. Ooh, okay. We got some BLK here. So let's take a. I mean, we need to get to the bottom of this. Emperor, show me what you got. Dire Apocalypse, USB. Earth Wind causes Imperil Earth and... gives himself a tri-buff. So it's just Imperil Earth. Emperor, if you didn't suck so bad, this would be a pretty cool LM too. Oh well. Relics. That's Emperor. I think you may be thinking of Gordon. Emperor buffs himself, yes. Emperor USB is a triple break. Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Even worse. Ah. Sorry, Emperor. So Gordon also has breaks. That's who I was thinking of. 6 area of effect, fire, non-elemental, physical damage, enemy attack, magic, and mind plus minus 30% or 50%, and party haste and high regen. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. However, well, I mean, right out of the gate, not useful for Magicite, but outside of Magicite, how do you use this? I mean, you Mako Might it, but you need to pair it with a buff. So you're Mako Mighting out a debuff and haste. I mean, it could be fine. It's just, it's an odd combination. So, when we build teams and we try to pull relics for teams, we follow a paradigm. We follow defend yourself, buff yourself, and because of that, it's hard to find things that properly combo with this. Because you need to have someone with Mako Might. You have one more Mako Might available to you, or Dr. Restitutions, whatever. And that person needs to buff the party. Depending on, you know, what kind of party you plan on using. Which means that you only have access to one buff on at the start of the fight. Because you're using your haste on the debuff. And I will always side with Haskas that are dual purpose, which also buff. It would be a little more acceptable if Gordon's USB broke resistance and defense. It has high regen too. Yeah. I don't care about high regen really. High regen to me right now is a cure. It's a cure for sap and poison, so your last stands don't get effed in the B. And if you're using it at the start of the battle, which you should be because it's party haste, then you're not curing anything with it. You're just getting the benefit of high regen, which doesn't really do a whole lot. That's my take on high regen. So someone's high regen, like Raijin, who grants you last stand and high regen, and instacast, is just a full package of awesome. Where high regen cast at the beginning of the fight is not. It's just okay. So that's my gripe with Gordon's USB. It's the fact that it branches the two stock types that we pull for generally. Think about it. Ramza, haste, buff. Onion-Knight in his USBs, haste, buff. Mog, haste and buff. Cloud of Darkness, haste and buff. So all this power stuff that we were looking forward to in the future doesn't combo with this at all. They have an overlap with the haste. So your buffers have most likely will have a conflict with this, so you need to find other buffers. Well, you know, it's a gacha game. We have limited resources. Some of us don't have access to buffers that don't have haste. Or, you know, we have less, so we have less ability to fit this to the situation. So I'm sorry I took so long trying to take this apart, but it's just like a personal belief where I believe in haste and buff. And I believe that I will be pulling in the future on haste and buff. And even if I got this, that wouldn't change that, which means this has direct conflict with stuff I plan on pulling on. So I don't like this. I don't like this USB at all. Even though it could be good. Next up, Mimu's USB. Zero cast time Kiraga, already just fine. Party HP stock 2000 and Stone Skin. Really protective. Just... yeah. It's too protective. Like, it doesn't do anything for your party. You notice the best USBs for healers are... there's 4 effects involved. Cast time, Medica, and then 2 add-ons. Or 3 add-ons if it's a regular cast time, but those USBs stink. Realm, Aphmau, and Rosa. Rosa is also just protective. And so is Pinello, but... yeah, so we can compare this to Pinello too, which is exactly the same thing as this, except instead of Stone Skin, it's Physical Blink. I'll probably take the Physical Blink over Stone Skin, and Pinello is a much better character than Mimu is. So other than this USB, Mimu's crap. He's just terrible. Bad record dive, bad everything. Or bad legend dive. Bad BSB. The thing that drives Rosa as much as it does is her access to support 4. And she does this job better than Mimu does anyway, with HP stock 2000 and Magic Blink. So it's not a bad USB. It's a zero cast time Medica. That's fine. And HP stock 2000 is good, and Stone Skin is good. It's a very protective USB, and it's not bad. It's just I feel that healer BSBs are so powerful that you need to be above and beyond fantastic in order for a healer BSB to take over the usefulness of a healer BSB. And I don't believe Mimu's does that. I believe that Realm, Aphmau, and Rosa do that. Not this. Choosing this versus a healer BSB, I'll take the healer BSB anytime. Anyway, next up, we're moving into BSBs. Notice, same banner format. We're still only at 2 USBs. And that continues for 3 more events. Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 3. Only 2 6-stars. That changes on the Final Fantasy 7 Shulk event, where we move up to 3. That's our banner format change. And it's a pretty good banner format change. I would personally recommend staying away from any of these banners until, and possibly here too, but just like with such a big power creep upgrade happening in the future, it doesn't make much sense to go after this lesser stuff. But anyway, enough of that. Scott BSB, 8 single target fire, non-elemental, physical, and fire. Remember I was talking about Scott's Legend Dive, the fact that he got Spellblade increase. I wanted to see multi-elemental available to him, otherwise it would have made more sense to give him plus the elemental that he is. It looks like he is a fire Spellblade, so him getting Spellblade damage instead of fire damage on his Legend Dive is not good. The BSB itself is 3 times single target, Spellblade plus 15% 3. 2 times Area of Effect, and Dark Bargain. It's not a bad BSB. Not at all. It's just on a character that, you know, it's just not that great. I liked his ability pool too, so it's kind of sad. Anyway, Ricard, Wind Dragoon, one of the 5 million of those. 8 single target, wind, non-elemental, jump, and wins. Oh, great. No airtime 2, that command again. And 4 single target, self-dragoon damage, plus 3. So this is Aranea wind style. Whatever. We still don't have access to Aerial Dive, and we won't until Sid Final Fantasy VII comes around. Few events from here. Yeah, it's just it's a crowded, as Epic Wonder has just stated. We have Ricard and Lunith and Sid and Freya and Fang, and they do Ricard's job better than him. So, I mean, Sid, a couple events from now, gets a USB. That's actually really powerful. Unless you're really, really dying to hone multiple versions of Aerial Dive. And her too. Is she Wind? Him? It's such a female name to me. Dragon's Determination. It's a very good record material. If you haven't leveled Ricard to 65 yet, you should. I still use it once in a blue moon. Gordon BSB is very old. 6 times Area of Effect, Party Last Stand, and Burst Mode. Power and armor breakdown for commands, 1 single target, and non-elemental commands. So even when we consider that Gordon gets that Imperil Legend Materia 2, when he uses damaging support abilities, he still doesn't deal fire damage with his abilities. The only fire damage that Gordon can deal is with his BSB entry, so he's not really a good fit for a fire team. So this is really crap. Great for a Sid mission, but that's the problem here, is I can say the same thing for everything here. It's a Sid mission item. Shouldn't really be pulling on banners at full price for Sid mission items. You want them to help your overall, your whole picture. So that's everything from USB to BSB. So that's not a good banner. There's nothing that could possibly happen in the next 6 relics that would change that. Small increase in duration of stat debuffs cast by self, that's a bad LMR. Low chance to additionally give ally blink when casting small single target white healing abilities. That's not really a good LMR. It's not changing my mind at all here. Super Soul Break. Good Sid mission Super Soul Break. So that's fine if the top of the banner would be good. Medica is 40% is great for Sid missions. Party attack and magic plus 30% and physical blink. That's not bad for Sid missions. 4 times area effect earth and non-elemental and peril earth. that's actually usable outside of Sid missions. But goodness, does this make me want Guy's BSB. Guy's BSB is actually good. It's also an Imperial Earth. And it's a plus Earth weapon. Joseph's Bracers, Snows of Death. 4 area effect, Ice Non-Elemental, Party Medica. Another Medica? Another Sid mission item. And none of the relics on the banner have plus elemental damage. There's no redeeming qualities of this banner. It is just... is possibly the worst banner that we're going to have for months. Emperor, USB, 8 area of effect, Earth Wind. Oh yeah, we went over this already. A debuff of attack, magic, and resistance minus 50% in Imperial Earth. So he's an elemental character. Does both Earth and Wind damage and Dark damage. This flavor does Earth and Wind, but mostly just Earth because you're inflicting Imperial Earth. So it's highly unlikely that you're using this in a Wind situation. And a debuff. It's pretty bad. Leon. 8 single target, dark non-elemental, ranged physical. Ranged, huh? And dark, and self-darkness damage. Okay. See, this is interesting. I think Leon, with this USB, joins the group of Gafgarian and Garlands. That HP Sock 6000, you know what that means. Crimson Cross. And darkness damage plus a lot. I think that's a 30%. So he's going to be hitting for 40,000 with Crimson Crosses. This is a legitimately good USB. I say legitimately a lot. No. I'm just trying to say that it's very good. I like this a lot. Yeah. I don't see... Where does Leon not hit for 40,000 a turn with Crimson Cross with this ability? End Dark and Self-Darkness plus 30%? Like, on a 4.4 multiplier? Yikes. This is really powerful. Okay, so moving on. So we have a really good relic there. Joseph's BSB 2. Party, attack, and magic plus 30%, and ice. Three single target. Oh, it's an Unbound Fury. Yeah, he does have an LMR on this banner that double casts darkness abilities. Him with his USB, good. Him with his USB and Legend Materia Relic, really good. I think, honestly, like, if you look at this... Oh, okay, it doesn't deal any damage on entry. So it sacrifices the damage on entry for party attack and magic plus 30%. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a common buff, so it's got that working against it, but I think Ice, and these are some pretty strong commands with the Unbound Fury. He could deal some serious ice damage and buff the party at the same time. But it being... Here's the issue. It would be better as an Imperil. Because the problem with an element on an entry that doesn't deal any damage is that if you would like, for any reason, a very common reason to recast your bursts, you're not going to get any benefit at all from that plus 80% damage the N element gives you. So, yeah. I think it suffers. It suffers there a lot. Alright, next up. Yeah, there will be the Ice Monk ability coming, but I don't think that that's really all that relevant because he has very powerful commands. Unbound Fury gives him quick cast and makes his first command 6 hits. It's that's just better. Those are very powerful commands, and those are the only reason that I'm considering Joseph's BSB2 to be, you know, worth anything at all, because those commands are super powerful, even if it is dragged back a bit by the entry. Emperor's BSB. This is just BSB1, isn't it? Wind and Dark and Wind Burst Mode. Yes. Awful. Emperor, just continuing the string of crap. Furion, BSB is good. Not as good as it used to be. The 4 times AoE kind of weakens it, but the 0 cast time is always going to be strong, and the party magic blink is always going to be strong. So this is good regardless, I think. Oh, man. Alright, LMRs, we have Emperor. Emperor does the same thing Garland does, has the trance mode LMR, which only gives him quick cast and heals him for when he gets low. It's fine, it's good, it's just on Emperor, so it stinks. Leon is awesome with his USB. Emperor's Cloak, super, Radiant Shields. Some value, but there's definitely a lot better Radiant Shields in the game now. And on better characters. Joseph. Damage and Party Haste. It's a super version of the problem we have, or I have with Gordon's USB. Furion, Shining Blade, 6 area of effect, and Holy. Could potentially be combined with his BSB. Seems like a lot of work, though. Just to make his commands do more. Does this get you anywhere? That could get you a Shadow Dragon clear. The Super Soul Break and BSB together. Entrusted. Though if you've got his BSB, you're probably in clear area anyway, so does his Super Soul Break get you closer to 30-second clear? No. Too slow. Not enough damage. Both his BSB and Super Soul Break are area of effect, so they get reduced. Minwoo Super is fine, it's a Medica. So Leon, you're the highlight of this banner. What do you think of it? Does it carry you? Does it allow you to be pulled on? It's telling me no. There's too much Emperor on here. Emperor, 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 Emperor. Let's look at this. No 6-star element. That's a Rod? Yeah. Dark Rod. Dark Light Armor, and that's it. Nope, not good enough. Sorry, Leon. Hopefully you appear on something better. What's everyone think? I don't doubt that we're all in agreement that the first banner's really bad. Second banner, closer to the fence. I think the fact that it's a Final Fantasy II event kind of makes it unpullable. Also, yeah, too many Super Soul breaks. Just a bad banner format. Bad banner format, bad realm. And the banner's not good enough to overcome that. Alright, one last taco. It wasn't near the mic. The mic is just pretty sensitive. And it was the taco. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Well, that's not the fact that it's a Blue Yeti, it's the fact that I have the settings for it to pick up a lot. Because I don't have it next to my mouth. So I increased the gain to make sure that it picked up what it's trying to pick up.